Try to make one room in your home as beautiful as possible. Hey, welcome back to Parker's Pensées YouTube channel. This is a channel where I think about philosophy, theology, nature, and life, and you're invited to come think with me. This is rule number 8 of my analysis of Jordan Peterson's Beyond Order, 12 More Rules for Life. So I'm going to be looking at his book, his new book here, and I've been looking at each rule one by one and giving you guys my overview and analysis of it from a Christian perspective. I'm an evangelical Christian in the theological sense. I love God, I love Jesus, and I am a theological conservative. I'm not a fundamentalist, though I hold to the fundamentals of the faith. And so I'm going to go through these rules and tell you what I think about them. This is rule number 8, so there are 7 other videos you can watch if you like this one. If you like this channel, if you like my thoughts on stuff, then go ahead and subscribe and watch the rest of my stuff. So let's jump in. This rule is really interesting. Try to make one room in your home as beautiful as possible. This is like Peterson's aesthetics. This is like his philosophy of beauty, which is really interesting. So he talks about making a room beautiful, but not just decorating. It's not like beauty, like, oh, this art matches the color of the walls, but rather, well, it's kind of hard for me to understand what he's saying, because when he made a room in his home beautiful, he put Russian, Soviet impressionistic paintings all over the walls. And I think there's a picture of Lenin in his home. I don't know if he still has these or not, but he recounts his time on eBay after the fall of the Soviet bloc there, just collecting up a bunch of arts from the USSR. And it's interesting to think about how propaganda can still be beautiful. You got this giant Soviet Union. Within the boundaries, within the territory of the Soviet Union, there's going to be lots and lots and lots of potential artists, lots of people who are good at art, who are forced into making propaganda instead of painting their heart's content. And so, yeah, some of these paintings, though they're propagandist, they are still beautiful. And I thought that was really interesting to think through. But Peterson is a pragmatist. That means that he thinks what is true is what is livable. And this comes out in his conversation with, what's his name? Sam Harris, their first conversation. You can check that out on YouTube, I think, still. And a lot of people say they got bogged down in these truth questions. I thought it was one of his best discussions ever, because it demonstrated what a pragmatist really believes. And it demonstrated how a Darwinian evolutionist ought to believe in truth. You ought to be a pragmatist, I would say. Truth is that which helps you survive. All that to say, it's interesting to think that Peterson, the pragmatist, also is Peterson, the objective beauty beholder. It seems like Peterson is holding to an objective view of beauty, a realist view of beauty. That beauty is not merely in the eye of the beholder, but that we can recognize beauty. There are standards for beauty. There are objectively beautiful things outside of our own subjective experiences. Now, I'm not sure how these two go together. I'm not sure how how Dr. Peterson's pragmatism can go with an objective sense of beauty. Now, if you read this chapter, maybe I'm getting him wrong. Maybe he is being a pragmatist here, and he's not holding to an objective standard of beauty, though it really doesn't seem like that. But how does this fit into Peterson's project of moving beyond order? Well, in Peterson's conception, chaos, the right-brained, chaotic mind, or person who tends more towards chaos and openness and maybe agreeability as well, that person is the artist. The artists are like that. Artists live on the fringes of society. They live in the rundown areas, and they need like the roughness and density of life in order to paint, in order to conjure their dreams into a painting or into a poem or spoken word or whatever. And so the artist is the one who is taking this tacit knowledge that we have and making it more explicit, though not explicit in the sense of like philosophy, but explicit in the sense of here's this impressionistic painting, um, here's this song with lyrics that really strike at your core of your being. It's not it's resonating with something that is true of all of us, something beautiful. And so in order to move beyond the order in your life, you should start by making one of your rooms really beautiful. Why? Because then you establish a relationship with beauty. You open up your mind towards some chaos, and art is order out of chaos. It's harnessing the chaos and turning it into order. So Peterson says, if you learn to make something in your life truly beautiful, even one thing, then you have established a relationship with beauty. He further says that beauty is divine, which is another interesting take. Like, he doesn't mean beauty is God, because he doesn't believe in God like that. But whatever divine means to Peterson, beauty is that as well. And so in order to move beyond this stagnation of order that you found yourself in, you need to establish a relationship with beauty. Now, this is interesting because he's the one who always says, clean your room, clean your room, clean your room, clean your room, clean your room. If you only follow that piece of advice from Peterson, you are going to not be able to establish a relationship with beauty, because your whole life will be dictated by cleanliness or um, being manic about keeping everything in line, keeping everything in order. And so this is actually a unique antidote to those who would follow Peterson too rigidly, those who clean their rooms obsessively, those who are manic about it. Instead of just following that rule, yes, clean your room, yes, create order out of chaos that way, but don't let that order become your ruler. Don't let that become so strict that you can't add any new beauty into your life. And so clean up your room and then make it as beautiful as possible. And I thought that was really interesting. Peterson goes in on his own story of making his office beautiful, and how the administration, the order overseers, were saying, no, this is not allowed, because if you want to do that, then everyone will want to do that. Like, as if that's a bad thing for everyone to want to beautify their office. So Peterson kind of skirted the rules a little bit, or he worked within the rules, bending them to the point of breaking, and he made his office look really, really beautiful. And then, ironically, the administration would bring new potential professors through, and they'd show them Peterson's office and say, look at the creativity you can have if you work here. Look at our friend Jordan Peterson here. And so Peterson worked within the rules, but kind of bending them. And in so doing, he became a beacon of beauty there on campus. And so establish a relationship with beauty. And you can do this simply by making one room in your house as beautiful as possible. and in doing so, you can avoid this chaotic, this pathological order that sets in when you want to just control everything, when everything has to be so neat, when we have to follow the rules so tightly. No, be like the artist, engage your inner artist, make things beautiful. And again, it's not a crazy order type design plan where everything has to be in shape, where the design has to fit in. This painting will really go with this wall color. I don't really care what the painting's about. Who cares? No, grab a beautiful painting. Grab something that really speaks to you. Grab that and put that up on your wall, even if it doesn't perfectly match the whole feng shui or whatever milieu you're creating in your office. I really like this. I'm looking for some quotes here. Peterson talks about dreams as art. I thought that was really interesting as well. I never have thought about dreams this way before. He talks about how creativity is on display in your dreams. And I always thought, well, dreams are just something that kind of like happens to you. You go to sleep and your mind's just like replaying crap and whatever dreams are. Peterson's saying it's like a painting. It's like you're painting a painting when you're sleeping. Your imagination is on full display. You're creating semi systematic worlds when you're sleeping. It's not the real world. It's a world that you've invented, though you haven't done it intentionally, probably, unless you're lucid dreaming. And so you're like making this work of art every night when you sleep. I thought that was bonkers. That's so cool to think about. I think that's probably true. And I wonder now if some people have more vivid dreams, if creative personalities have way more vivid dreams than those who don't. Maybe I'm totally missing an aspect of like dream theory, and maybe people have known this forever, and I've just been missing out. But I wonder if creative people have more systematic or more realistic dreams, or maybe they dream in like puppets or something, or like claymation. I don't know. So another interesting take, another hot take from Peterson on arts, the arts, is that he says artists must be contending with something they do not understand, or they are not artists. Artists have to be contending with something they don't fully understand. I don't know if that's totally true. Um, I guess you could say we don't fully understand anything, and so even if I make a painting of a spotted turtle, I don't have to know everything about spotted turtles in order to. Maybe that's what he's saying, but I think he's getting at something deeper. We're talking about like true art is, again, it's the surfer on the razor's edge between order and chaos, and they don't fully understand the unknown. Like that's by definition true. You don't know what you don't know. And so the artist is the one who's brave, who's moving into the slums to get inspiration for their art, who is out on the front lines, who is going into the unknown to create something beautiful out of something chaotic, who is looking into their dreams and putting it out there before they're fully systematically outlined or understood. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. That sounds like it could be right. I'm not super sure. But the one room, like why just one room? Why not beautify your whole house? Well, I think he's trying to not overwhelm us. If you don't have a good relationship with art, then start somewhere. Just like if you are living in just pure chaos, hey, before you go out and change the whole world, start with your room. Make some order out of the chaos in your room. And likewise, put some chaos into your order by making it beautiful. And by introducing beauty that you don't fully understand. You can't understand beauty. You are this finite thing. There's things that transcend us that we can paint, that we can tacitly know, but not fully cognize. So bring some of that into your life to be more balanced in your order and in your chaos. Art for Peterson is exploration. So that goes along with his order chaos motif, his explored territory of the left brain and the unexplored territory of the right brain. And so artists, again, they're right brained. They want to go out and they want to explore. They go into the slums, they make it look really sweet. And then the developers move in, and then gentrification happens, and then the artists have to move somewhere else. And so it's like this natural process, and people more or less on the edge of chaos move in, and they make it more orderly, and then eventually that's going to be pathological order, and it's going to collapse back down, and artists going to move back in. And so it's kind of this cyclical order and chaos motif around and around and around and around. There's some really good poetry in this chapter. He pulls some quotes from and some full poems from Wordsworth, and William Blake is another one. Really just beautiful stuff. It's worth reading the chapter just to hear that poetry, just to have that poetry in your mind. So ultimately, in analysis here, I agree with him. I don't agree with like the cosmic dualism of order and chaos. I think that's helpful. I don't think that fundamentally everything is order and chaos or anything like that. But I think that we do live in a state of order and chaos, and I think it's a really helpful pedagogical tool for yourself to think through, hey, am I tending more towards order than chaos? And chaos in the Christian view is bad. Like chaos is lawlessness. But I understand what he's saying. Like you don't want to be tyrannical in your order either. You don't want to be like anal retentive and like I can't let any dust motes or whatever in my home. I think like in this, we can even couch the chaos and order. We can just go with like order and creativity. Hey, you need some creativity in your life. God's creative. You image God. Go out and create some worlds. Be a sub-creator, as J.R.R. Tolkien says. God, we're creators because God's a creator. We create under the great creator. So go and create. And by create, that could mean just making your room look beautiful. Make it look really genuinely beautiful. Let some beauty into your life. I know it sounds pretentious, but take some time and look at a painting. Like if it makes you feel something, slap that up on your wall. Right now, I have Conversation with Smaug from The Hobbit. It's Smaug or Smaug sitting on his pile of gold, and Bilbo's in there like with the ring on, and there's a pile of smoke. That's awesome. Over here behind me, I have Augustine in his study. It's a beautiful picture. I just printed, or I had it print out, and I put it up on the wall. Nothing crazy special, but it's beautiful to me, and I love looking at that. And I think we all need some time to just contemplate beauty. I love truth, I love goodness, but we need beauty as well. And God made us to enjoy the beauty that He created. I think we need to take some time and do that for sure. Now with Peterson, I don't know how he can talk about objective beauty at all. I don't know how we can talk about transcendent beauty. Like if we are evolved apes and that's it, no theistic evolution, just random chance acting on matter over time. Beauty is whatever helps us survive. That's actually like not beauty. Like beauty is supposed to be the good in itself, or the thing in itself that is enjoyed for its own sake, not for a purpose of survival or something. So I would be really interested to hear Jordan Peterson talk more about beauty. This is like his aesthetics here. This is his philosophy of beauty in this chapter. I think he needs to say much more about how this fits with his overall project of finding order and chaos in our neurological our psyche, our psyche, which is grounded again in our neural biochemistry and the two hemispheres of our brain. I just don't see how he can hold to that. I don't see how there'd be a matching between our subjective psychological states and a objective source of beauty or objective standards of beauty outside of us. Now you might say, well, we've evolved to see beauty, but I think Sharon Street, she's got this great argument against moral realism for Darwinists, and she's a Darwinist herself, so she's saying, I don't believe in objective standards of morality. I think the same argument applies to standards of beauty. Why think that we would evolve to recognize beauty in and of itself, and not just things that help us survive? Maybe we think that like a dead pig is beautiful because it represents sustenance. So he's going to have to tell some kind of story for how it is that our cognitive faculties can deliver beauty to us, beliefs that about beauty that match up, have a correspondence to beauty in the real world, and yet our cognitive faculties are aimed at survival and not at truth, beauty, and goodness. So as a Christian, I think our cognitive faculties are aimed at truth, goodness, and beauty. We don't always get it right because of sin. We don't always get it right because we ignore God, because we suppress the truth and unrighteousness, including beauty and goodness and unrighteousness as well. But generally speaking, they're reliable. Our senses that produce beliefs about beauty, goodness, and truth are reliable because God made us in this stable environment and created us for the purpose of glorifying Him, knowing His truth, doing good, loving beauty. So I just want to hear more from Peterson. I'm going to wrap it up here. This has been rule number 8. Stay tuned for the next one. Rule number 9. If old memories still upset you, write them down carefully and completely. I'm a little bit nervous about this one. I don't want to do that. I have some painful memories that I'd rather just let go. I'll just cram those right back down in there. But I'll take Peterson's advice and I'll let you know how it goes. So again, if you guys like this, please like it, click the button, subscribe, turn on the notification bells, and leave me a comment. You guys have been leaving really good comments about your thoughts on the book as you've been reading it, or just as you hear me talk about it. So I love hearing from you guys. Peace.